House to Home, brought to you by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody, you are watching House to Home. Let's get right into this discussion because this is very, very important news. Liz and Gina are here from RE/MAX Diamond Realty. Now, ladies, we were talking, and Liz, you were here last time, we were talking with our good friend Kim, and she was talking about the fact that Guam's real property value assessments haven't been updated, the tax tables and all that stuff.
Right.
We've now found out that that has actually come to pass, and the amount, and if you recall, everybody watching this, Kim was saying last time that they tried to be a little bit liberal and just say, okay, well, maybe it'll be 30%.
Right.
It's not exactly like that.
No. We have this sample here of one that just arrived in the mail, and Gina and I did some calculations, and it looks like it's 59%.
Now, is that 59 on average, or is that kind of like a high estimate?
Well, this is just one property. We haven't had a chance to look at other property taxes just to see. Of course, this is broken down for 2013 and 14, and then they break it down for the lot itself and the building. And so, again, we haven't had a chance to analyze these statements as they've come in. This just happens to be one property.
So everybody watching this, don't take this as representative of the entire thing, but this is still keep it in the back of your mind. This is what one property is going to have.
That's one.
So, you know, homeowners should, when they receive this in the mail, they really need to take a look at what the valuations say. And this is not, I mean, set in stone. They have the opportunity to take the document, go to Revenue and Tax, and they can still contest the value based on what they believe or based on perhaps on their own valuation. Like, I might have already gotten an appraisal on this property, so what I'm going to do is I will take that document and look at the current appraisal that I have and see, is it in the same range? And if it's not in the same range, I have the option of going down to Revenue and Tax, and they actually have a system where you can contest the value of your property. But the interesting thing is, in January, I received a different letter saying that the valuation, usually you can go in and file to contest the value of your property. Before, it was March 15th was your deadline. And I normally would receive my tax bills around December, January, so that, you know, gave me time to go in there and fill out the forms and submit it and say, hey, I don't agree with what you guys are telling me. In this year, I believe the document that I received said that the deadline to contest the value was January 23rd.
As in 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Right, and then this document came after.
But we're receiving these documents now, so by the time you go in, it's too late to file for this tax year, so you can file for next tax year. But I think somebody needs to take a look at that, because with all of these new letters coming out, they should have kept that time, you know, should have left it with March so everyone has time to go in.
Okay, so 2 key points I'd like to emphasize, ladies, and, you know, support me if I'm right. And so one, there is, as you just said, there is the ability to contest the appraisal value.
Yes,
and then Liz, what does this ultimately mean for the people that don't want to get involved in, you know, the whole regulatory environment and everything? How does this impact somebody's mortgage payment?
Well, as you get your mortgage, normally tax on an escrow amount, which they would have for the taxes and any other expenses associated with the mortgage. So right now with the increase, your mortgage payment will change because the bank will have to tack on additional monies to cover the taxes. So, for example, if your taxes have been $1,000 for the past 5 years and the bank has accommodated that through monies that they've deducted from your mortgage payment, and now they find out, well, it's $1,500 or $2,000, that's just an example, then they're going to have to add on top of your mortgage amounts. So your mortgage payments will be impacted.
Okay, so on the flip side of things, Gina, for people that, you know, made the investment into real estate because they want to spend money to make money, conversely, does this mean that they'll be able to realize any more equity than they already have because of this, or the equity's pretty much set, the payments go up?
Well, what this paper tells me,
I can see some people trying to play that angle as well.
Yeah, you know, and that's a good point. What this document shows me is that based on the assessment that the government's gone out and valued the property, they're saying the property is worth much more than it was worth back in 1994 when they did the original valuation. You're right. You're absolutely correct about that. but the immediate impact of my pocketbook is my mortgage payment's going to go up, and I may or not, so that's something I need to budget out for. And for investors who have this property, it's investment property, maybe you've got a tenant in there. Well, if the rent's fixed, you're not going to be able to adjust that. This property alone, it shows a $50 increase. So I may not be able to adjust my rent to cover the additional expense. But you're right, it also shows me that the property value has gone up quite a bit, as a matter of fact.
And that was excellent that you brought that up, because I was going to say, okay, now for the actual tenants and the people that don't even care about that kind of stuff, their rent possibly could go up, but like check your lease.
It could, or
It just depends if your lease is up
Depends.
and you're looking at renewing it. And then at that point, your landlord will probably do an evaluation as to, well, how much are their expenses? If the tax has gone up, it's an additional expense to the landlord. And of course, who are they going to pass that on to but to the tenant? At least they're hoping to. So if they're renting for $1,200 and they've got an additional tax implication, they will definitely raise the rent.
Right. Okay, well, these are very, very important forms, people of Guam. You're going to want to know them. Liz and Gina, thank you so very much. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/KUM News. We put a link for these going to the IRS. Make sure that you know this stuff. It's very important. We'll see you in a flash.